二度と負けない。探偵士も誰も傷つけさせない。そのために記憶し取り込んだ魔人そのもの。
Índio come xota, índio come.
Ayanokoji Kyotaka. It seemed like a normal boy. But the truth is that this boy with simple interlocutions can understand people's moods. And if you trust him, you will almost certainly become his pawn. The perfect human, trained from an early age, in a structure called the WHITEROOM, where he is the masterpiece. When the protagonist isn't just lying to you, but they're also lying to themselves, and how that leads to them doing one of the most dehumanizing things I've ever seen. Because the first time we meet Ayanokoji, he has a big secret, and we get hints to what that is from the way he looks at the world, especially in the books. And it will freak you out. I guarantee you're never gonna want to read the books, because in the show, Ayanokoji is the definition of unbothered, unreactive. He doesn't speak out a lot, but in the books, he's constantly talking in his head. When he first enters the classroom, he lays out a wall of text on how to make friends. He describes it as a do-or-die battle, and when he interacts with Horikita, he keeps bringing up how attractive she is, and unironically tells her to smile more in his head. He even idolizes Hirata for being a straight-up Chad, even jealous of how he's getting all the girls. Anyone familiar with Ayanokoji and his monotone appearance can tell you this is all kinds of weird, but there is a sinister reason behind this. And the cracks soon begin to show, and the best way I can describe it is with the concept of the Uncanny Valley. A lot of people right now are talking about it because of AI, and the Uncanny Valley is when the tech creates something that's supposed to feel human, but doesn't feel like it. It's completely subconscious, even though on the surface there's nothing wrong, it just doesn't feel right. And when you read Ayanokoji's thoughts, you get that same exact feeling. Like for example, in the opening scene when Ayanokoji's riding the bus, when he's describing the people around him, it's like he's describing them through stereotypes. Like this lady's that way, or this guy looks like he accidentally touches people. And keeps on going when he meets Hirata, saying things like, oh, he's the most popular guy in class, of course he's gonna date the cutest girl. That's how these things go. Almost like he's describing characters on a TV show. And from this point on, it gets even stranger. One of the scenes cut from the anime is when Ayanokoji meets Chie for the first time, a homeroom teacher of a rival class. She acts really flirty with him to try to gather information, and it annoys Ayanokoji. So he thinks to himself, maybe if he licks her, she'll stop, but then decides against it because he's gonna get expelled. Really? The reason you're not gonna lick a teacher in broad daylight is because you're gonna get expelled? Not the other consequences that could follow? This is not normal. But it gets even better because another scene cut from the anime is when Ayanokoji's homeroom teacher Sai exposes him. Sai summons Ayanokoji to the teacher's room and tells him to hide, and if he doesn't, she's gonna expel him. And then she invites Horikita, explaining that Ayanokoji is special and he doesn't care about competing, because in this school all the classes are divided up by ranks from A to D, A being the best and D being the worst. Performance by your entire class is gonna allow you to rise, and everyone wants to climb, because if you graduate from class A, you get into any school or any university you want. You can also get into the job of your choice. But Sai explains that there are those within Horikita's class who don't care, Koenji being one of them, and Ayanokoji being the other. Then she forces Ayanokoji to show himself, revealing that he's been listening in the entire time. Sai further reveals that Ayanokoji scored 50 on every single subject on the entrance exam, meaning he's hiding his capabilities. But here's the interesting part. The second Sai hints that she might know even more about Ayanokoji, Ayanokoji threatens her that if she says anything more, he's gonna go mad and destroy all the furniture in this room. And again, he says all this while looking like this. So why is there such a big divide between the way Ayanokoji looks and the way he thinks? And what exactly is Ayanokoji hiding from us? To figure that out, we need to look into Ayanokoji's past. Because before arriving at the school since birth, Ayanokoji was enlisted in the White Room, a secret institution tasked with finding a way to turn normal people into superhumans. And the entire place rested on one pillar, that the gaps between the abilities of individuals occur not because of genetics, but because of environment. The nurture is far more important than nature, and by offering the best education humanly possible, you can bridge the gap between the talented and the talentless. This all sounds good, but at the end of the day, it was all just a slogan. The real purpose of the White Room is to amass power for its creator, Ayanokoji's father, and he is willing to ruthlessly sacrifice anything for that goal, including his son. And the place is equally shady, using abandoned children, babies born to the mistresses of powerful individuals. And the scientists involved were not that far off, and the person leading everything, Suzaku, had a diabolical idea. He looked at every single child as a vessel. The less useless stuff is in there, the more space for their superior training. And in Suzaku's eyes, the useless things are socialization and emotions. But how would you get rid of something so fundamentally human like emotions? Well, by making sure the children are never exposed to any. As a baby, Ayanokoji remembers crying, but after a while he stopped. Not because he was no longer sad, but because he realized no one was ever coming to help. This level of black and white thinking is what marks every single child in the White Room. And the instructors took it a step further by wearing masks and always having a neutral expression, to never show the children any kind of emotion. The only way the children ever saw the outside world was through VR simulations. And even in those, the children shown playing were edited out to show no emotions like the ones in the White Room. So the children could never see anything resembling joy, happiness, or anger as long as they're within these white walls. Emotions had no meaning to them because they were never of any use. The same approach was used for socialization. Within the White Room, there were no holidays, no time off, no vacations, because every single second of your day was accounted for. So the children never really had any reason or time to talk. Throughout their entire time together, the children only dined together once. And Ayanokoji even notes how weird it was to talk. He kept it to a minimum because, like everyone else, he realized that it was unnecessary. The only time the children would hear each other's voices is when the instructors called out to them. And what added to this was the steep competition, because in the White Room, if you're at the bottom of the rankings, you're gone. Year after year, Ayanokoji saw each and every child leave until he was the only one left. From the age of 9 all the way to 14, Ayanokoji was all alone. He distinctly remembers on certain days, the only thing he used his mouth for was to shovel down food. So ask yourself this, how would a child raised in that kind of environment ever fit into normal society? How would he go on to converse with normal people? He couldn't. Ayanokojiお前は今まで通りプレイしろ。足手まといになんだよ。俺たちの邪魔すんな。